around doing this work. Mr. Antron McKay is a Tougaloo graduate of maybe a month ago. And he and I invited him to a meeting that the NAACP had where we heard about, what was the stat on the 18 to 24-year-olds?
The disparities between people with driver license from 18 to 24, there's 177% difference between Caucasian with a driver license versus African American. It's like 42% of African Americans that don't have a driver license in Mississippi versus only 14% of Caucasian in Mississippi that don't have a driver license.
Saying about a particular demographic, 18 to 24 is that demographic where you see that disparity. I mean, the disparities throughout each generation. But when we saw that, I was like, Antron, this is your generation. I was like, technically, you know, I call myself an elder of their generation. I said, this alarms me that this many kids in Mississippi don't have an identification. What are we going to do? And so this is before I started working at Tougaloo. And so serendipitously, I ended up getting a job at Tougaloo, where my president has allowed me to, you know, take out some of my time at work to be able to train these young people to go out in the field. And so we're dealing with the loopholes in the law. You know, in Mississippi, if you go to a nursing home and you're registered to vote at your old house, which is kind of what we do old school, you keep where you used to live at. But if you re-register and use the address of the nursing home, you don't need an ID. This is the kind of information that we're out in the community trying to make sure that our people understand and know. In 2011, this Initiative 27 was voted into law in Mississippi. So we've kind of known for quite some time that it was coming, but we just knew Shelby was going to be our savior, right? And I had a conversation with somebody before I moved to Mississippi about how they were taking black people's rights to vote. I was in Australia, and it made me very upset. We're at a bar, and there were a bunch of Australians talking about my right to vote, right? And I was like, well, have you ever been to America? Yes, mate, I do. Black people are not going to vote anymore. You know, we're at a bar, and I became very upset. And so my friends and I, we wrote a couple of user-friendly materials and guides to really train young people and older people and anybody really to have these conversations in the grocery store, to have them at the beauty salon, to have them at the nail salon, to have it, you know, whenever I see you. So I met Wakenya when I had it in my purse on a plane one day, you know, years ago.
That was great. In terms of young philanthropy, just philanthropy in general, yeah, Capital Cause has a network of 5,000 young philanthropists, but you don't have to join Capital Cause in order to be a philanthropist. You know, that's why I started out talking about the truest definition of philanthropy, you know, the Greek term philanthropos trokos. What we're trying to do is create a mentality shift. Capital Cause runs a program called My Brother's Changemakers program, a spinoff of My Brother's Keeper initiative. And what we do is we go into schools in low-income communities. We just created a partnership with U.S. Dream Academy, where it's 55 youth, 80% of whom struggle with reading and math, all of whose parents are incarcerated, all of whom are on free and reduced lunch. We go in and we teach them philanthropy. And people have been asking, well, why are you doing that? Well, these 55 children are so used to people calling them helpless. You know, they're so used to being beneficiaries of philanthropy. Nobody has ever told them that they can be benefactors of philanthropy, even at the young age of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. You don't have to identify as helpless, you can be helpful. And so what we did was we spent 8 months with them, teaching them good character skills, you know, teaching them how to be a good student. And lastly, teaching them how to give their time, talent, and treasure. You know, so then it was a shift. Wait, Kevin Hart is rich. You know, I want to be like Kevin Hart. When I'm like Kevin Hart, then I can start giving and become a catalyst of changing your community. It shifted from that in the first month to the 8th month. I helped my sister with her homework. I can be a change maker too. So this mentality, yes, help with the child, but I think as adults, we need to adopt that mentality as well. You know, so when we're talking about somebody creating a plate, you know, and for your political fundraisers, that's just as important as someone writing a $500 check. Even with Natalie having this conversation with this young lady, that conversation, yes, she was trying to help that young lady, but it became a two-way street. And so for us, it's everyone. There's this organization called Ashoka, Everyone a Change Maker. For Capital Cause, it's everyone a philanthropist.
You don't know who you're mentoring, even if you're not even talking to them about mentorship. Just letting your light shine is ridiculous for some people. It's just a light that makes the darkness escape on the possibilities of what they couldn't do. All the stuff they said they couldn't do. to hear is when I heard I was on a panel with her, I was like, oh my God. Okay? This woman, I mean, she's been written about all over the place. And I have to say this because I feel like some of y'all don't know who she is. And it's important for us to celebrate our sisters, right? Because we don't do that enough. We're too busy looking at the bottom of somebody's shoes, trying to figure out who got off the red bottom so we can talk about who she is and who she ain't. But she now has a series that you're doing with HBO, right? I mean, this is the next. This is next. This is now. It is amazing that this woman, through her Awkward Black Girl documentary and docuseries that she was doing on herself, is now in a position where she can help influence the minds of people who may not ever meet a black woman. Because I know people who live in places where if you're black, they come up and want to touch your skin because they ain't seen no black folks in so long. I live in a city where I'm always the only black person in the room in an 8% black city. Dare I say somebody watches her show? Do you know how influential that is? But you know what? We are all walking TV shows because somebody is always watching you.
So clearly, not only is Toyota fortunate to have her, we are too for her to bring her message today. Please join me in welcoming Alva Adams Mason.
Thank you so much, Senator Mitchell. Thank you. Hi, ladies. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. The late Maya Angelou, whose words touched all of our hearts and gave a voice to countless women, once said, "One isn't necessarily born with courage, but one is born with potential. Without courage, we cannot practice any other virtue with consistency." Throughout my career, I've witnessed and appreciate the courage it takes to stand for public office, for issues you believe in, and to practice the virtues of truth, kindness, and honesty in the policy arena. So thank you, members of NOBEL Women, for your service to your constituents, your states, and our country. As you see, each day, our demographic landscape is undergoing rapid change. More than half of the babies in America today are non-white, while 40% of today's 18 to 24-year-olds hail from diverse populations. In this sense, our country is like a patchwork quilt of many vibrant colors. And like the quilts our grandmothers used to sew, it only works when all the diverse patches are stitched tightly together. That's why I'm so fortunate to work for Toyota, a company that has allowed me to practice my passion for diversity and inclusion. And today I'd like to share this passion and just discuss a few things about Toyota's commitment. One, I want to talk about the genesis of Toyota's commitment to diversity and inclusion and what it means to me and my fellow associates. The business case for active diversity and inclusion program, and Toyota's efforts to enhance communities through its products and philanthropy programs. Let's start with our long-standing commitment to diversity and inclusion. Since our founding nearly 80 years ago, two sturdy pillars have guided Toyota and formed the foundation of our culture. And these pillars are continuous improvement and respect for people. Continuous improvement means that there is no better, only better. We refuse to accept that a product or process can't be made better. We work every day to improve ourselves and humbly accept that our best work is still not perfect. The second pillar, respect for people, means mutual trust and accountability between the company and the employees, equality of opportunity, open and sincere communication, and the acceptance of differences. So how do we put these concepts into practice? We start by recognizing and responding to the nation's rapidly shifting racial makeup, and its effort on how we do business. Consider these facts. In 2012, 64% of the U.S. population was white, with the balance 36% divided among African Americans, Asians, and Hispanics. But by 2050, year 2050, 98% of the auto market's growth will come from diverse populations. In particular, today's African American market is becoming older and wealthier. In fact, the number of African American households earning $75,000 or more grew by 64% between 2000 and 2009. Yes, we do have power. Let's use it. And as everyone in this room is well aware of, African American women are especially an economic power to be reckoned with.
All right.
50% of African American women are heads of households, and 64% are in the workforce. Yes, ladies, we do have power. Fortunately, Toyota's been addressing the market's changing demographics for decades as we stay true to our foundation pillar of respect for people. If our organization is to continue to thrive, we need to represent and respond to the entire range of customers, business partners, and others with whom we interact. One way Toyota has formalized our approach to diversity in America was to create a diversity advisory board. This board consists of some of the nation's most recognized leaders in diversity, public policy, economic development, and community relations. The person that leads our diversity advisory board is the Honorable Alexis Herman. These experienced leaders meet regularly with our management team to monitor and coach our diversity efforts. In addition, diversity and inclusion in recruitment and promotion of Toyota's own workforce remains a high priority. Today, minority and women executives now lead or have key roles in departments such as corporate communications, corporate social responsibility, finance, and human resources. Toyota also supports an array of business partner groups that encourage associates to share their unique insights and experiences, which serves to strengthen the fabric of our company. These include African American Collaborative, also known as AAC, TORC, which works to increase inclusion opportunities for women. We even have Toyo Pets. We have a veterans group. We have a group for Hispanics. We have a group for Asians. We have a veterans group. So we have quite a few groups, and they're expanding also to our manufacturing plants as well. At the bottom line, this is what inclusion is all about. It's calling upon the collective strengths of the diverse workforce and encouraging them to represent the voice of our diverse customers. To harken back to Ms. Angelo's wise words, we aren't wasting our potential, but living up to it and continuously working to exceed our customers and our own expectations. And at Toyota, we're definitely not wasting our potential. Here in the U.S., we proudly employ thousands of Americans and produce vehicles in 10 states, including here in Mississippi at our manufacturing plant in Blue Springs. Together with our dealers, the company employs more than 157,000 Americans. And every direct job created by Toyota and its dealers generates spin-off jobs. So when you add it all up, Toyota is responsible for more than 365,000 American jobs, equivalent to the population of New Orleans. Our contribution to the economy and diversity goes beyond job creation. The biggest single economic segment of Toyota's commitment to diversity is the purchasing of materials, parts, and services. Last year, our North American manufacturing, sales and distribution, and finance operations spent $2.4 billion in purchases from minority-owned suppliers. In addition, our corporate diversity outreach includes a commitment equaling more than 40% of all philanthropic endeavors to supporting ethnic, LGBT, and disability nonprofit groups. So our efforts to reflect and support the America we live in is paying off and people are taking notice. For example, this year in Diversity Inc. Named Toyota one of its top 50 companies for diversity. marking our 8th appearance on the list since 2006. Thank you. As far as sales, our efforts are netting great results. According to a study by R.L. Polk, Toyota led the industry in customer retention last year in Asian and Hispanic owners. And we currently lead all automakers in sales to African Americans, Asian, and Hispanic sectors. Makes good business sense. And most important, it enables Toyota to meet the demands of today's customer. Another way we help meet our customers' demands is by enhancing society by building better cars. That's why our company continues to launch new, exciting products that are environmentally advanced and provide a great fuel economy. In the U.S., Toyota and Lexus have 12 hybrids on the market, including the Prius, the first mass-produced hybrid vehicle. In total, we've sold more than 2.2 million hybrids here in the U.S., and over 6 million worldwide. We estimate Toyota's hybrids have saved 4 billion gallons of gasoline and resulted in 41 million fewer tons of carbon dioxide emissions worldwide. Senator Mitchell, you can appreciate that being from California. And next year, Toyota will enter a new era of sustainable mobility when we introduce our hydrogen fuel cell vehicle. Our fuel cell sedan will travel over 300 miles on a tank of hydrogen. It takes about 5 minutes to fill up and has 0 emissions. It will only emit harmless water vapor. And there's good news on building hydrogen fueling stations. Toyota, along with other automakers, energy companies, and state and federal government agencies, are working together to build the required infrastructure so consumers will have convenient refueling stations. We'll continue to develop a deep product portfolio that includes hybrid and gasoline cars, trucks, and SUVs, so customers can choose the vehicle that best fits their needs. On top of that, we will continue to respond to the call of service in our communities. Consumers today not only want great products, they also want to do business with companies that share their values and work to make their world a better place as well. And that's why one of the most exciting things about the auto business is the work of automakers and dealers alike to enrich the lives and the people of the communities in where we do business. For instance, Toyota employees volunteered more than 100,000 community hours last year. And here in Mississippi, we've contributed more than $21.8 million to numerous charitable organizations, including the Boys and Girls Club of Northeast Mississippi. As part of our 100 Cars for Good program, we donated a Toyota Sienna minivan to the Gulf Coast Women's Center for Nonviolence, yes, located right here in Biloxi. The center supports and serves victims of domestic violence and sexual assault, family members of homicide victims, educates communities, and acts to reduce incidents of violence. And nationally, Toyota promotes the efforts of several civil rights nonprofits, including National Urban League, the Rainbow Push Coalition, NAACP, and United Negro College Fund. I hope by now you see that creating a business atmosphere of diversity and inclusion is the right thing to do, morally and ethically. And doing so makes good business sense. There's one more item I want to share. One of our diversity advisory board members, former Congresswoman Susan Molinari, she shared a fourth reason to be passionate about diversity and inclusion. She said it's not only good for moral, good for business, and good for society, but it's patriotic. And I completely agree with her. She quoted, "I love this country, and I want it to be the kind of place where the diversity of our people is seen by everyone as an advantage. A feature of our people that enriches us and makes us a more productive nation, a more competitive nation, a better nation." To me, that's the part of patriotism. That's the kind of country I want us to be as well. Nobel women, ladies, gentlemen, that's a vibrant and tightly knit quilt, diverse and inclusive of all people. I think our grandmothers would be proud of the patches we're sewing today. Thank you again for having me here to speak with you today. I appreciate that, and God bless.